Hey, welcome to another episode of the 52 Weeks podcast. My name's Steph, and the year is officially halfway over. Like, seriously, if you're anything like me, you're probably wondering, like, where did this year go? It feels like just yesterday we were counting down to midnight, setting New Year's goals, buying a new planner, and being like, this is going to be my year. And now we are here. We're in summertime. We're halfway through. And, like, if you're like me, like, I've accomplished some of my goals, but there's some of my goals that have quietly disappeared. And maybe you're asking yourself the same question I am of, how is it already halfway through the year? So I want us in this episode just to hit pause, not to feel guilty, not to beat ourselves up, but to reflect because we still have 6 months left. And that's a lot of time to change the direction of our year. So, to start, why does time feel so fast? Psychologists have an interesting explanation. When our days become repetitive, our brains create fewer distinct memories. So, looking back, like our months seem shorter and shorter because there's not these like memorable moments separating one week from the next. So, think about when you were a kid. Summer felt like it lasted forever. Every week was different. You were learning, you were exploring, you were playing with friends, building forts. Now, if I think back to, like, last Tuesday, it's hard for me to remember what I did. Well, not Tuesday because I do Mountain Tuesday with my family, so I can remember that, but, like, Wednesday, I don't know what I did on Wednesday. I can't remember what I had for lunch, and I can't remember what I did after work, and it's not because it wasn't important, but it's just because it looked like a lot of other Wednesdays and Thursdays, maybe Fridays? So, maybe it's not that time isn't moving faster, it's just I'm creating fewer moments worth remembering. And that's why one of the things, like, I've challenged myself this year is to take, like, 3 pictures throughout the day and, to put them into highlight reel. And also, like, right now, I'm challenging myself on Thursdays to go paddle boarding because I love paddle boarding, to go hiking, to go swimming at the pool, just stuff stuff to break up the day. And I also feel like taking a picture here and there also helps you remember. One of my biggest fears is, like, being convicted of a crime that I didn't commit, and so, like, the fact that I can't remember what I did last Tuesday, it's always, like, Matlock or any of the murder shows, they're like, "Where were you?" I'm always like, "Oh, I wouldn't have an alibi." So, making those memories also help with that. Um, Not that we need alibis, but. So imagine someone handed you a photo album from the past 6 months of this year. And if you don't take pictures, like, this is just, like, sort of a recap of your life. But, like, what would be in that photo album? Would you be at, like, the same area for your desk at work? Would they see you in front of your screen at home scrolling and watching a show? Um Or would they see, family dinner, date nights, books you finished, walks you took, time with friends, adventures? Would they see that life you hope to live? And I think that's an interesting thing because even like my phone, I've been trying to take like 3 pictures from moments during the day, but just so that my phone isn't that I actually have more stuff in it than like work stuff. Um But if you really saw a highlight reel from your life, it's like, "Oh, like, what does the day-to-day look like?" And I'm realizing, like, I need to have more fun stuff in there. I need to have more memories and different things to mix up the week. And, like, the second thing is, like, what are you spending time on what matters most? If I asked what matters most to you, most people, and including myself, would probably say, like, your family, your faith, your friends, learning, health, like, for me, podcasting. Um, but if you compare that to your calendar, do they match? Because our calendars, like, they tell the truth. Like, you see what happened if you write it on your calendar, but our intentions don't. And that's an interesting thing. And so I've gone through and been like, "Okay, like, for the rest of the summer, this is how many times I want to go out paddleboarding. This is how many times I want to go hiking. This is like what I want to do. There's some local concerts I want to go to, and I've put it in the calendar, and I've also put it in my checklist for the day so that it's like, no, we're going and doing this because I want to be making more memories. And it's interesting because research by psychologist Thomas Gilovich, I probably butchered that, has found that experiences tend to create more lasting happiness than buying more stuff. 5 years from now, you probably won't remember what shoes you bought, but you'll remember the vacation, the camping trip, the concert, the long conversation, the birthday dinner, because experiences become memories and memories become our story. And here's the thing, like, if you're sitting here and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't done what I've wanted to do this year, like, you're sort of feeling bad that like 6 months have gone by. Like, the good news is we're only halfway through the year. Like, it's not December 31st. We still have 6 months. 6 months to build healthier habits, 6 months to repair relationships, 6 months to start reading again, 6 months to exercise, 6 months to become more intentional, 6 months to build those memories. You don't need to change everything. You just need to change your next week. So, this week's challenge is I want you to do something called the halfway reset. Grab a notebook and answer these 4 questions. Okay, so the first one is what has gone really good this year? Celebrate those wins. So in the past 6 months, what has gone really good? What have you been putting off? What are those things that you need to start that you were like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'll tell you what I need to start. I have to go to the dentist. I have some dental work I have to get done, and I've put that off majorly, and I'm like, "No, we're getting it done." Like, it has to be done before the end of this year. Um, and it's like I have to have I still have my baby teeth, so I have to have those taken out and get new teeth. Anyways, it's gonna be a whole ordeal, and it's gonna be painful, and that's why I've delayed it. But, like, why have you been putting it off, Maybe if your goal was that you wanted to make more friends this year, like, why haven't you gone to the stuff you've been invited to? Maybe if your goal was to be more spiritual this year, why haven't you been praying or going to church or whatever your goal was to be? I think that this is an honest look at like, okay, why haven't you done it? And then the third thing is, what do you want to do more of in the next 6 months? Like, do you want to spend more time with your family? Do you want to read more books? Do you want to what do you want to have more fun? What do you want to do more with your faith, friends? Write it all down. And then the fourth thing is, what's a small action that you can take this week? Not next month, not in November, but like this week. Because remember, big years are built by small weeks. So just to recap, we talked about in this episode why time feels like it's moving faster, why routines can make weeks blur together, even though routines are good, but like how we have to be getting out and getting those memories because experiences matter more than possessions, and why halfway through the year is the perfect time to reset. So I want to leave you with one question. If the next 6 months looked exactly like the last 6 months, would you be happy where you were ending December 31st, 2026? If the answer is yes, awesome. You're doing amazing. Keep going. That's wonderful. If the answer is no, good news. You don't need a new year. You don't need to just waste these next couple months. You just need a new week, because if the answer is no, good news. You don't need a new year. If the answer is no, good news. Like, you can go through and take what you learned from the questions that you wrote down and make those changes. The year's not over, and in fact, it might just be getting better than ever with what you're going to be doing. So thanks for spending part of your week with me, and I'll see you next Monday on another episode of 52 Weeks. And make this week one that you'll remember.